Speaking of murder rooms, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, today is the day that you have long been waited for because you watched Starcrash. Today is the day we are going to talk about a film starring Nicolas Cage as part of our Nicolas Cage season in our Because You Watch Starcrash podcast, which is born of me, Mike Vanderpool, hitting up Michael Klink one night as I was watching Starcrash, a 1979 cinematic masterpiece, if I do say so myself. We roped in folklorist extraordinaire Dr. L.U.V. Alan Barris here as well. We're going to talk about this wild and crazy adventure picked by Michael Klink. Was this you that made us watch this powerful thing?
Yes.
Hey, you're an asshole, dude. You're an asshole. I'm just going to start with that. I had two options coming into this.
By the way.
I had two options coming into this. It was either I was not going to say an entire word the entire podcast just to see how that would go over, or I'm just going to hate this thing the whole time through. So you pick this movie. Tell us what it is and why.
This Willys Wonderland is about a small town that is has a children's birthday restaurant that's ran by serial killers, and they randomly kill children and families. So after these serial killers are found out, they commit mass suicide and a satanic ritual to where they then become these animatronic animals in this kid's birthday place. And
by the way, all of that exposition is totally useless. It does not advance the story in any way. It's just dumb. It didn't need to be there. It was bad. Klink, continue. Now just taking a nice swig of your energy drink.
why is both of you were just taking swings at me today?
Well, that's because we were bitter because we had to watch this. Although I half enjoyed it, I have to admit. And I would have enjoyed it more under different circumstances, but I'll get into that later.
So the animatronics are taken over by these evil people, and they go on a murder spree. The townsfolk then make a deal that they'll feed them unsuspecting strangers. Come in our hero, Nicolas Cage. Hero, I don't think he has a name even.
The janitor in the credits.
Yep.
Janitor.
That's the janitor.
And he's ex-military. He drives a Camaro. He's an American badass. And he is tasked to clean Willys Wonderland overnight. And then he would get his car got messed up. He would get his car back free of charge. And so shenanigans ensue.
Yes.
I think the best way for me to explain this movie is to use other movies. Like Troll 2, where the village brings people in to feed on them, that feed the monsters, or the village's monsters, whatever. That's kind of going on here. I mean, there's actually, Alan, a lot of this kind of feeding the monster in mythology, folklore, all through everything, right?
And we see this in Wicker Man as well.
That's what I was thinking.
The outsider is offered up as a sacrifice. In fact, I think to a minor extent, Cage's casting in this is kind of a riff on Wicker Man.
Well, apparently he was in charge of the script, and he fought to keep it going, and he wanted the producers, I thought.
That would explain
money.
a lot. Like the pointless parts of this, which is about half of it. He just has no filter. Come on, dude. You get your life together.
I don't want to give it away because there's something really cool. I want to talk about that later on. But he has
a hell of a tease. That's a nice tease.
He has a filter.
So, Klink, the important thing here is that you asked me what kind of car it is.
Hey, Alan, what kind of car is this?
I've got a bitchin' Camaro! Anyway, that's for Dead Milkman fans out there, or residents of the fine city of Philadelphia.
The other type of film that this reminds me of is it reminds me of a student art film.
Yeah.
All right.
Cutting, the cinematography, the cutting,
that sets me up for the circumstances under which I would have loved this movie. If I had seen this as part of a horror marathon back in Columbus, it had been 3 a.m. I'd just seen evil aliens or something like that. And then this comes up next. It's fun as hell. I mean, I'm already sleep deprived. I might have gone to have a drink. Who knows what other substances might have been exchanged by this point, and I'd be having a great time. And then this would come up, and I'd probably fall asleep halfway through, and then I'd wake up while something really crazy was happening. It'd be awesome. And unfortunately,
that's kind of
I was not at the horror marathon.
Yeah, and those are the best kind of ways to experience the movies. There is a movie called 10,000 Fingers of Dr. T. It's like in the 40s.
Yep.
Apparently it's the kid's dream, but me and my roommate during the day flipped on to this movie and we didn't see the beginning. So all we're seeing is the Dr. Seuss portion, which if you haven't seen it, it's crazy, especially out of context. So like they're fighting, but they're not touching each other. They're just kind of waving their hands in front of each other. And then the kid comes out of a pipe, a big giant Mario pipe, sits on this random guy's lap and says, you're going to be my daddy now. And then it's like, what is going on?
Spoilers.
But things like that are amazing because, Ellen, the exact situation what you're talking about would be amazing for this movie. And the first time I saw this, because
if you came halfway through or you didn't know what you were getting or anything like that, it'd be fun. But because there's so much useless crap in this ultimately, I mean, all right, the serial killer plot is dumb. It's dumb.
Chucky, right?
What would class it up if we just didn't get any explanation for why the creatures are alive? They're gods, all right? They come to life because we believe in them and because of the blood of birthday children or something like that. All you needed was an accident where one of the kids like accidentally got cut and spilled some blood on one of them or something like that. You could show it visually. You could do it quick. It's creepy. It doesn't explain itself. And then everything else works without that stupid serial killer plot. That's just dumb. It's a dumb Satanism plot too. It's like the laziest thing you can do with a cult. Come on, like learn from Wicker Man. We don't know what deity they're sacrificing to in the Wicker Man. We don't need to know.
It could have been cool if they would have done some from dusk till dawnishness of this, or even Psycho. Right, we'd start off with one story of just the family coming in without any of the exposition and bullshittery. That, like, you're right. It was worthless, useless. I'd rather have the experience of that thing than being told that thing, which is exactly what we were. Exposition too. I mean, that script was all exposition, wasn't it?
Now,
except for Nick Cage's parts.
I will point out that the script
spoiler. Hold on,
writer does know how to handle ambiguity with the janitor, because we get no explanation of the janitor's ritual, the constant, the alarm, the energy drink, playing pinball, going back to it again every time. Well, energy drink on the timer initially, then pinball gets played into it too. No explanation of that. That's fun. That's great. I mean, that gets us thinking, that gets us wondering, what does this have to do with what's going on? And it has nothing to do with it, but that's the fun part. It's just random, and we're left with a bigger story as a result. We're left with a smaller story as a result of the stupid serial killer origin thing.
So the only thing we know about Nick Cage's character, the janitor, is I think we see dog tags in the car. So we assume he's military. Right? Yeah.
And he drives a bitchin' Camaro.
And he drives a bitchin' Camaro. The only other thing that feels like it's trying to reveal something is when he and the main girl first meet, and that weird gaze of, hey, daughter, I want to F you. I don't know what was going on. It was really weird, wasn't it?
It was weird.
It was really weird.
She's definitely too young for him for that kind of looking, I think.
Yeah, it was odd. I felt uncomfortable.
Not to be preachy to May December relationships or anything, but come on.
Well, and
it was more like February, Alan, wasn't it?
Yeah,
the end made me uncomfortable too, though. What happens with that at the end, where she just gets in his car and leaves with him? Like, they don't know each other. He is okay. So throughout this whole film, I'm going to say it now because we're going to have to get this out of the way. Throughout the whole film, Nicolas Cage never says one word. He has no lines of dialogue. He just does actions.
Yeah.
He doesn't emote too much, but he has actions. So the girl, I forget her name, she...
Live.
She lives.
Hey, symbolism. You did.
God.
It's a
But
great
she's
writer.
been trying to fight this Willys Wonderland curse thing most of her life, and she's lived with the sheriff and this and that. And then finally she's done. The sheriff adopted mother is dead, and so then she has no place else to go because all of her friends are dead, and she's finally defeated Willys Wonderland. So her quest is done. So she gets in the car with a guy who has not said one word to her, saved her life a couple times left her in danger, but she knows nothing about this guy, yet she leaves with him. And his last act on the screen is he's about to drink one of his last energy drinks. He looks at her and just gives it to her, which is like, okay, so he's a good guy?
Well, again, it's left unexplained in that case, and again, that's why I like the whole energy drink thing. It's just there. It doesn't get explained. It's just there to get you wondering. So what does this symbolize for him? Why is he drinking this stuff? Is he some kind of super soldier who needs to drink this stuff? Is he like programmed in some way by MK Ultra or what? Is this childhood trauma that he's acting out? There's a whole bunch of things it could be.
He does a very good, an extremely good job of cleaning the bathroom.
Yes, but he's good at cleaning too.
He's very good at cleaning.
Yes.
Like, very good.
He is bad at picking a beard style for himself. However, that really close cropped beard, just no, dude. It needs to be wild for Nick Cage. Come on.
The setup is so bad too.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's obvious, but that's fine because, of course, this isn't supposed to be a particularly deep movie. Ultimately, I just think a couple things could have been left out to make it a little bit more mysterious.
The way they set him up, he's in a Camaro driving fast, too fast. He has his cool sunglasses on, his leather coat on. You can see the dog tags jingling in the rearview mirror type thing. When he does end up getting a flat tire because somebody left out those tire popping spikes that police have, he gets out.
With zigzags here, which I had not heard of before.
Yeah.
Go figure.
Gets out. He gets in the trunk, gets one of his energy drinks, drinks it down, and then waits for the tow truck on the side of the road. Stoic. He's not pissed. He's not sad. He's not, oh no, woe was me. He's just standing there waiting. When the tow truck guy comes in, picks him up, doesn't say a word, nonchalant, cool about everything. This guy is an everyday American man. At first, I thought it was a Gen Xer. But I'm like, no. This guy is an American, like a stereotypical American man. Supposed to be stoic, cool car, leather jacket, sunglasses.
Doesn't say anything.
Yep.
Doesn't say anything.
Kicks ass. Beats up robots. Beats up robots.
Flat effect too. I mean, he barely reacts to anything in the movie.
Yeah.
I mean, he's very, very calm all the way through, with a couple like minor changes of expression to let you know what he's thinking. That's about it.
I mean, when he's like bashing, curb stomping animatronics and being covered in robot blood, he enjoys it though, right? Or is he not?
I don't know.
I don't remember.
It seemed like he kind of enjoyed it a little bit, but also he's like, man, I'm dirty. Now I have to go get another shirt. Because in the beginning of this whole cleaning thing, the owner gives him a stack of shirts in the closet, the cleaning closet. Goes, here, why don't you put on one of these shirts there? So it's...
And then we get part of the other ritual. So like every time he kills, he changes his shirt. So he's a neat freak as well.
Yeah.
It has a Groundhog Day feel as well. That repetitive cycle. The 51st States is just repeating the same sequence of events over and over and over. Speaking of repeating the same sequence of events over and over and over, what do you guys think of that sex scene?
God.
Sorry. Well, it wasn't that good. What next subject?
So my comment on this was after the line, "Oh, you a freak." My comment is, "Are you seriously telling me a man wrote this?" Sarcasm. Because that was dumb. I mean, the whole, like, we're going to go bone in the ritual room that they already know is the ritual sacrifice room. No.
Yeah.
Writer of this movie, no. Women don't like that. They don't want to go bone in a room that is filled with negative evil energy. They want to go bone in a graveyard. That's fun. This is not fun.
Oh my.
Perhaps the bathroom for a hint of danger, but this is not this is not fun at all.
Hey, I have a couple questions for you two. Have you ever had a car on the side of the road that you had to call a tow truck, like a car was messed up or had a flat tire or something?
I think so. I ran out of gas once. I ran out of gas on the side of the road.
Did you have a tow truck coming for you?
No.
Alan?
I don't think I've ever gotten towed from the side of the road. I have gotten towed from locations because I needed to.
As a person that is very poor and doesn't have a reliable transportation usually throughout my career of driving, I have had to have tow trucks. And I will tell you, it is not a good idea to walk towards the tow truck as it's coming toward you.
Right.
Just so then hoping it stops. That's not a good idea. Don't do that. Get out of the way of the tow truck.
That might indicate a certain level of suicidalness on the part of our hero.
Oh, okay. I
So
can kind of see that.
Nick Cage was on the highway being reckless.
So that could be another possibility. Maybe he's got a death wish in there too. Who knows?
At the end, did he find a reason to live with taking Liv with him? Did he find his reason to live?
Maybe he found his reason to live in leaving a clean restaurant behind him.
Oh, that's true. Yeah.
This is either a really, really great movie or a really, 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 really student art film. I think there's no in between.
I don't think it deserves either of those extremes. I just think it's
middle of the road.
It's kind of cute. I mean, it's got some. I wouldn't watch it again, but again, if I'd seen it as part of a horror marathon, I'd be like, okay, this is interesting.
I'd watch it as an experience for sure. That would be fun, like you're saying.
So with that, I went down to Houston to visit my friend who lives down there, and we used to work at a restaurant that was similar to this. I'm not going to say the name of the restaurant because whatever, but it's a very similar experience. The whole having the endless cleaning. The only thing I thought was unrealistic was the regular breaks that he got to take, because that company did not want you to take regular breaks at all. But the experience part is we both, since coming out of that place, that company, we go, oh, I can identify with that part or that part or that, ha ha ha, and along with the normal, horror movie Nicolas Cage being Nicolas Cage. So it was almost as if one of the writers or whoever made this stuff up worked at one of these places that is like a kid's,
or they just ripped off Five Nights at Freddy's, which is what I think.
Which they said they didn't.
Well, they did. Oh, they did. The basic premise is ripped off from Five Nights at Freddy's.
I know.
And again, like the direction of the movie is not like the play of the game, because there you're watching like security cameras and stuff, for those of you who aren't like millennial or younger and have avoided playing the game. I won't play it because I hate horror games. I don't like pop scares terribly much, so I'll avoid them. I got trained by the old Kami 64 treatment of Friday the 13th, actually, which was not scary at all until occasionally, every time you get killed, there'd be like this horrifying image that would be flashed up on the screen that was like the best animation of the game, and then everything else was 8-bit after that. It was all jump scares.
This idea of robots or machines becoming possessed with evil human souls is not new.
No.
Right. But the timing of this is highly suspect. I mean, the fact that Five Nights at Freddy's, I mean, it's going to be a movie at some point coming up, if I remember right. So, this strikes me as an attempt to beat it to the punch.
Right.
Sort of like I can't remember the name of it, but there was like a ballet trained assassin movie that came out very, very conspicuously prior to Black Widow. So like we don't get very much of the Red Room scenes in that, like I was expecting, because I think that movie kind of stole its thunder in a lot of ways.
Well, that and the other one was called Red, and that one
was it? Okay, yeah.
Was rated R, I think. I didn't watch it yet. I'm interested, but it was rated R, and they don't want to have a Black Widow movie rated R, even though it would be,
right,
because they got to get that kid money from Disney.
Yeah.
What did the tow truck driver have in his mouth?
Beef jerky, I hope.
That sounds like the worst riddle ever. I am not answering that question.
Well, okay, so it did look like beef jerky, and I'm like, wait, I've done that before. I've been driving, and it's kind of stuck in my mouth because I got to do something. It dissolves really quickly. Like, this is that's not regular beef jerky. That stuff dissolves really quick, unless I have super acidic saliva or something. But that thing, like,
I thought at first
got in his mouth.
I thought at first he might be chewing on a cigar or something, but
yeah,
it looked like a chunk of jerky or like a Slim Jim, like a tube of meat.
Yeah.
And
speaking of terrible answers to the riddle,
because I thought it was a cigar too until I saw the other character have a cigar and got to see those two things. Oh no, that's not a cigar. And the other character is like the cheap. I don't even know what his name is. He's a dime store boss hog white hat and coat. Tex Arcana was his name?
Something like that, yeah.
Who
had a big mustache?
The name of the owner of Willys Wonderland is Tex McAdoo.
McAdoo.
With the
mustache. He was like the boss hog, original boss hog from the TV show. And did Burt Reynolds play the boss hog in the movie?
I do not remember.
Yeah. Anyway,
I didn't get around to seeing it. So,
or maybe it's Norm Macdonald doing Burt Reynolds with the head on and Jeopardy, but like felt like this character was in the middle of that boss hog and that boss hog ish type character.
But a discount version of that, whoever's in the middle.
Yeah. I mean, this whole thing was a discount version of everything, right?
Except they had actual people in it. Like the lady sheriff was a person who has been in a lot of other stuff that I can't name off the top of my head. But I've seen her in a lot of stuff. Like, she's a character actor. And then you have Nicolas Cage. And then the tow truck driver's been in some things, too. Again, can't name him or...
And Liv is from the 2020 reboot of Party of Five.
Oh, really?
Who hasn't seen that? Yeah.
I didn't watch the original Party of Five. I was too young.
Alan, did you? Were you a 90210, Alan?
Allow me to clarify something, gentlemen. I'm straight. So no.
Whoa. I will say, I love me some Dawson's Creek, some OC, some Buffy. Those are all kind of like teen dramas.
We had 90210. That's what real men watched.
Not real bid.
Hey, Alan, I've got a question. Is Nick Cage legitimately the only actor that can open a movie anymore? Like, you'll just watch a movie because Nick Cage is in it. Maybe that's a question we're exploring this season.
I think
there are actors that I am pleased to see in things. There are actors that I am pleased are continuing to get work. Like when I see Alan Tudyk in something, I'm like, oh, Alan Tudyk's working again. Yay. I like
he doesn't stop working. He's in a lot.
No, he works constantly, but it's still something of a relief. They're like, oh, thank goodness. He's still out there classing the joint up. But as far as like somebody I will go see a movie for, I don't think there's I don't even think Nick Cage is on that list for me. In fact, I'm more likely to go, and avoid it once I find that he's going to get it. I mean, his track record has not been great over the general course of his career. He's just had a few decent ones that are.
That's another thing we're trying to talk about this season. Is he good or not?
Because Peggy Sue that got married was the first. Was that the first one we watched? The time
Yes.
travel whatever thingy. Okay. He was in that.
He good. I maintain good movie except for him. In a wide variety of ways. I mean, he just is a weird fit for that movie.
Second movie was The Wicker Man. That's out there as well.
He's the
He's
best
also
part of
a
that
good
movie.
fit for it.
He's the
He is
best
not
part.
a good fit for it, but he is the only redeeming thing about that movie.
Exactly.
He's
That's the
overacting.
best
Is
part.
perfect.
So is he the only redeeming thing in this movie?
You know, I don't think I don't think I would have enjoyed it with anybody else in that role. I guess I got to admit that. Ultimately,
Damn it, Vanderpool.
it's
Is that your
seeing
question?
Cage do a silent role that is a real draw. I mean, I thought that was fun, actually.
Oh, I've got a quote, Alan. I think I have one quote.
Oh, I've got it.
Oh, I've got two
You.
quotes. Sorry. Clink, how many quotes do you have?
I have none.
No quotes? Oh, my goodness.
My quote, hold on, I have a quote. Ready?
Yes. That was good. That was really, really good. Nice
That's
job.
my
You win. You
Yeah.
win the quote contest.
That's our tagline for this episode.
It's all true.
I could just do 3 dots and get quotation marks. There you
So,
go.
for those
Although
of you listening-
I do have a pick for our choice. If we
Those of you
don't
listening, I didn't do anything. It was just being silent. So don't think it was a visual gag. It was not.
I think I only have one real quote here. Because I got one thing I learned, and that's a quote. The only other quote I have is there's chips, and this is when the sheriff, who is an older woman and the adopted mother of the main female character, Liv, kind of don't, when they first see them together, we don't understand their relationship, but we get told that through what happens and culminates in the line, the sheriff saying this to her adopted daughter as she's chained her to a boiler in a trailer in the middle of nowhere. There's chips on the coffee table and a bucket on the floor. Try not to make a mess.
Because she goes, how am I going to eat? When am I going to go to the bathroom? And then she said that, yeah.
I've got a name for this movie if it was a part of a double feature, like as this experience, Alan, you were talking about, because it reminded me off the bat with like the cinematic style, the up-close shots and the saturation and some of the coloring. I wanted this to be subtitled Hobo with a Shot of Stupid, because it reminded me of Hobo with a Shotgun, but that was Hobo with the Shotgun was a really good movie. This was kind
Yes,
of stupid.
I remember it being very entertaining, and we should watch it at some point. Because I
We've
would
just
like
made
an
it
excuse to
happen.
watch it again.
Does
So-
anybody know where this took place? Because it
Where?
feels like Ohio.
It's definitely southern coded. The
It feels
town
like
is
Ohio,
called-
but there's a Fayetteville there,
Yeah,
too.
the town is called Hayesville, but I don't know if it gets a specific location. I don't know where it was shot.
Is it spelled?
It would,
Is it on a sign printed somewhere?
oh, yeah,
Because
there was
Hayes,
some
you know,
sort of
you could-
sign.
Hayes could be spelled different ways, I guess. Maybe.
Yeah. But there was a Fayetteville, so I was thinking West Virginia, because it felt like that kind of Ohio, rural, West Virginia, rural type thing.
You don't see a cowboy hat like that on anybody in these parts, though. That's the only thing. Everything else, potentially, you'll see in Ohio, but you won't see that cowboy hat in Ohio. I don't know if you'll see that cowboy hat in Texas either. I've never been to Texas.
They love their cowboy hats and their flags. They
That's
love
what
their
the
Texas
media
flag.
That's what the media's programmed me to believe. I don't know if it's
No,
true.
it's true. I saw it. I
They
seen
also
it.
love, they also love really femmy drinks, which surprised
There's
me.
there's nothing wrong with that. I love a good appletini.
Well, I didn't complain because I got plenty of margaritas when I was down there. But anyway, so Willys Wonderland was shot in Marietta, Georgia.
Yeah,
And
film incentives.
So Georgia.
They got film incentives to make this. We talked a little bit earlier about why maybe this got made. Film incentives and movie accounting magic. I think really that's what it is.
Cooking the books. So,
So-
one of my notes I have is I know this isn't real because he's allowed to take regular breaks.
Mm.
That's how I know this isn't real. Everything else is truthful. except for the company allowing him to take regular breaks.
There was a lot of cool cinematography going on in here. Some Dutch angles, some cool camera movement. I don't think it was trying to really do anything too exciting other than maybe make it feel faster paced. The cutting of the fight scenes was not good, but I don't know if it was trying to be good.
Right. And this isn't like a Jackie Chan movie. I mean, you're not supposed to be enjoying the artistry of the fighting. It's supposed to be a brutal beatdown, pretty much. So,
and it's not CGI. There's somebody in a freaking suit doing it. Like, there's only so much you can do,
right?
Without industrial light and magic.
Speaking of non-realistic, also, everybody knows when you clean from top to bottom. You don't start cleaning randomly the table if the ceiling's all messed up. So this guy is starting to clean like the table, and then he started to sweep the floor. Like, no, dude, top to bottom. What's wrong with you? That took me out of the movie.
Criticizing his technique. Way to go, Clay.
That's what I wrote. I wrote.
Seriously, wrote that?
As someone who has cleaned bathrooms, that's not possible.
Yes.
But I guess that's not the same as what you said. Similar, because it was about cleaning the bathroom. Yeah. But you wouldn't do it that way. Yeah.
No. It's just his technique is sloppy, that's all.
Well, that and work gloves.
The results are good. I mean, the place looks clean when he's done.
Yeah.
Another thing that gave me a little WTF when we talk about cleanliness is when Liv goes crawling through the ductwork to get inside, and the ductwork is spotless clean.
Yeah.
That's not possible in a space that looks like that.
That and it's the size of the ductwork is crazy.
Yeah. I think I wrote Chang would have enjoyed that much room.
Yeah.
It's a tease for community nights.
I wrote dirty abandoned restaurant, huge clean ducks. All right. Want to take this time to recognize our sponsor, Punch Cola. Punch Cola, a fistful of caffeine in your kisser. Punch Cola.
Is that a real thing you just said? Is that a quote?
Yeah. From the movie. It's the energy drink that he drinks over and over again.
They make a big deal. Don't they like kind of hide it what it is, and then at the end make a big deal that it was pop? Like you see it POP like framed exactly where you can't miss what it is.
We see it as punch. I mean, we do see like the label of it, really. But as far as like what it is, like I said, I thought it was energy drink. So
I think because it says a punch caffeine in your kisser, so like it is an energy drink with a lot of caffeine. Yeah,
it might be the equivalent of like Jolt.
Yes, horrible thing to drink.
I don't ever think I had it.
I think I had it like once or twice. I am partial to Pib Extra. But anyway.
Ooh. So I have a question for both of you, since I'm not as old as you are. If there's a pinball randomly, do you just flock to it? Is it like a beacon of hope for your generation of, hey, pinball, I got to go do that? Is that a thing?
Well, awful nice of you to assume we are as old as Nick Cage. But no, pinball is not a particular draw for me. Even though there is like a pinball, like a pinball repair place in Maumee that's been there forever. I mean, just no. I mean, pinball doesn't particularly interest me. That seems to be more of like a slightly older generation. I mean, I think they're fun. I'll look at them while someone else is playing them, but I suck at pinball, so I'm not feeding my quarters to that. To get humiliated by my lack of flipper control.
Vanderpool. It was an old school pinball machine before all this digital kind of craziness got insane with whatever. It was more tactile, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
And so it was fun to play. And the restaurants that I worked at all had at least one of these things right next to the freaking kitchen, I think, to take money from people on their breaks.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't understand why it
And
was
after
in the
work.
kitchen. That's so weird.
Because it would have been close to that
Yeah.
in its
But not in the
existence.
kitchen.
But then when it got
Make-
moved
take a
as
break.
part of whatever they were doing, who knows? There's a fucking Nick Cage movie about animatronics that are possessed and kill people. This whole thing is a WTF moment. Oh, second fastest WTF moment in the history of the podcast here. And that was at the very beginning, the title is a chicken soup for the Soul Entertainment Company production. So that was the name of the production company, a chicken soup for the Soul Entertainment Company.
Which is weird because you'd think the chicken soup for the soul people would have that phrase copyrighted, but anyway.
Oh yeah, or at least have some say about how that happened. And
Is this a comedy or a horror?
It is a horror comedy, and it perfectly fits into that horror marathon pocket of the horror comedy. I'd say it's heavier on the comedy, really, but not like
I found it.
funny. It's more like absurdist.
Okay. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, okay. I found it. I had said literally anyone else can play this part of Nick Cage.
Yeah, but would we care if it
Yeah.
wasn't somebody who had a big name? It was like the novelty of the non-speaking part.
But if it were a bigger name, like if it were a serious method actor, like maybe, I don't know, Joaquin Phoenix or Leonardo DiCaprio or Tom Hanks or, something like that, where it's just a weird fit, but it's like this big name in this small movie. I don't know. That could be interesting.
Yeah, it'd be interesting.
still haven't seen Tom Hanks in Cloud Atlas, which
I haven't either.
it sounds like a movie I'd really enjoy, but I can't bring myself to even care enough to look. So even that guy can't get me to, can't open a movie for me. But Nick Cage, well, we wouldn't be watching this on the Nick Cage season of Because You Watch Starcrash if Nick Cage wasn't in this. So there's that.
This is true.
That is excellent circular reasoning. That is correct.
I'm doing my best, guys, I swear.
Hey guys, if we're ever in a horror movie situation where there's a killer or some sort of killing things happening, let's not split up ever. That's a bad idea. It's always let's split up, gang. Like, no.
All right. I solemnly swear that I will not go off and fuck in the room where the sacrifice happened. I'll stay with you guys. And forgo fucking for that time there. That's my second promise. Just wait till afterward.
I don't think it's a horror movie, though. Oh, go ahead.
Okay, what is it then? It's not a horror movie.
It's supposed to be a comedy.
But it's got horror elements, so isn't it a horror comedy?
I don't know that it has horror elements, in all honesty.
It's got the trappings of it. Like I said, I put it in the same category as Evil Aliens, Black Sheep.
So, getting back to why this is a horror movie.
So there are horror elements here, and like I was saying, and again we can edit back to make this a little bit more coherent, maybe.
I'll do my best.
Yeah. But we can only be so coherent. But so it's a lot like I was saying, Black Sheep or Army of Darkness, or what was the other one? Evil Aliens. I mean, there's this whole thing. Like Army of Darkness is the odd man out in that, because Army of Darkness is actually legitimately funny. I mean, there's a decent number of really great one-liners in it that make it funny. But a lot of these other movies, they just rely on absurdity for the most part. It's not so much. They might have a couple funny lines. I think this is what this movie was aiming for, but it didn't. I mean, it's not funny, but it's still a comedy. It's that absurdist element that's there.
Well, that, and you also have the morality play too of, the kid in the glasses got the drugs. The one kid, the first kid that dies, I think might be homosexual. I'm not sure. There was something weird about that. Not weird, but not quote unquote normal to society about that first kid. The other kids had sex in the murder room and then were murdered. And then I didn't understand the last one. The one that had a crush on Liv, he died too, but he didn't really fit in that mold of a morality thing.
Oh no. I beg to disagree. He committed one of the great sins on the internet. He was a simp.
Okay.
Was the problem. So this is something of a there's a little bit of internet, like I don't know, like a little bit of internet misogyny in here as well. So surprise.
Okay. So they all kind of died because of their social misgivings, moral misgivings. So there's that horror movie aspect too.
Right. But again, the movie is at least not taking that seriously. I mean, I as stupid as boning in the sacrifice room is, they're making fun of the fact that these idiots are going out of their way to have sex in the murder room. I mean, obviously they're going to get murdered. Come on. You know it's going to happen. There's no surprise. It's just going to happen.
I have a question. Speaking of the split up gang thing, did you two watch Scooby-Doo growing up?
Yep.
Were you fans of Scooby-Doo, I guess I should say?
I don't know if I was a fan of it. I think I primarily watched it because it was on.
Okay.
I watched a lot of it. The old school and a little bit of the scrappy early stuff. Yeah, I watched that.
Scooby-Doo, Where Are You? And then whatever the
Globetrotter stuff.
Series was.
Yeah. The Batman and
Batman
so,
one, yeah.
Did you have a favorite character? Like a Freddy? It's I'm leaning towards Freddy with you.
I think by
then obviously
Elma in my case.
Yeah.
For
I was gonna say that
probably fetishistic reasons in retrospect, but anyway.
See, because I always liked Scooby and Shaggy. Like that was Shaggy was kind of my role model. He was super laid back, except he loved to eat, because I love to eat. And then he did not mess around with any ghosts or anything like that. He got out of there. That's what I would be in this situation. If this were the situation we were in, murder, animatronic, the child's play things coming to life. I'm in the kitchen and then I'm out of there.
Oh, so how many horror movies have montages?
Montages of what?
Just use of montage in general.
Very few. I think that's where the. Oh yeah,
it's quite a few.
There's cleaning montages.
Oh, that's right. That's right. Yeah.
I mean, that's during all the and ending with can crushing jump. I mean, it's all jump cutting.
Yeah. Horror movies usually don't. That's stylistically not there. That
more in comedies, right?
But it would be more in comedies, and it would also be more in action movies. But again, because of the horror comedy thing, montage fits in fine.
Does it use jump scares?
To a minor extent. I mean, I can't recall being actually surprised by any of them.
No.
There's a lot of telegraphing. There's a lot of what they call dramatic irony in this. There's a lot of what the camera sees that the characters don't. Like when we are first getting into like the scene is like setting up the space of the restaurant. There's a lot of shots where the animatronics are clearly moving. And you can, like, the audience can clearly see that. That's designed to, of course, create just a little bit of tension anyway. I mean, it's not terribly effective because it happens so quickly, but it's not supposed to be effective. It's supposed to be kind of a, can you believe these people are so stupid that they don't notice something's up?
And that's classic horror movie, though.
But then again, but like compare that with the one dramatic irony scene that I remember very distinctly. It's very effective in The Exorcist. There's a door that closes, and in the darkness, we just see a demonic image just vaguely appear. And it's very effective. It's actually very creepy. It's a lot creepier than my description makes it sound. And it actually sticks with me. I think it's one of the scariest things in the movie, actually. But here, it's designed to pretty much be, can you believe these idiots? It's like, oh, these people are so stupid, they just wandered into this. And then the movie shows that it is self-aware with all that. by becoming more of a comedy after that. Or absurdist, for lack of a better way of putting that.
I kind of wish that they would have leaned into the comedy a little bit more if they could have. But then it would have made, you would have had to have somebody who writing it who it would have been funny, though, too.
Yeah, there's a lot of lazy lines in this.
Yes.
Let's see.
They're not locked in here with him. He's locked in here with, or they're locked in here with him, or whatever.
Yeah. The riff on Watchmen there.
Yeah.
That's not that doesn't work. It actually doesn't even work terribly well. We had a real Hobson's choice on our hands. All right.
No choice.
I might be revealing that I'm an idiot. It happens on occasion. It's probably happened multiple times today, actually. I was in a meeting earlier. So I didn't know what a Hobson's choice was until a couple weeks ago. It was when I actually read Flowers in the Attic for my other podcast. Allow me to put in a quick plug for Terminal Literature. Anyway.
Look that hole, Alan.
You're all making me money. Anyway, so a Hobson's choice is actually explained. It is actually used incorrectly in that book. Actually, the phrase is used incorrectly. In that case, they wanted to emphasize that they had two bad decisions. A Hobson's choice is a real choice and a fake choice. So really, there's only one choice you're going to take. In this case, it's, do we want to get killed by these animatronics or do we want to sacrifice to them? So obviously we're going to sacrifice to them because we don't want to be murdered by Willy in our sleep or something like that. So that's a Hobson's choice. And using that in this movie seems gratuitous to me. That seems like somebody showing off a little bit.
So,
and then
literally, anyways, through literature, they're also becoming absurdists.
It's a comedy.
I'm trying to remember. There was another one that I thought that the line didn't work. Oh, you want God to laugh? Tell him your plans. Number one, that's thrown in just randomly. It's a rewrite of Man plans and God laughs, if I remember right, is I think the quote. I don't remember who said it, but throwing again that little reference in there, it doesn't work. These guys don't really have a particularly good ear for the kind of stuff you'd put in a movie, like to legitimately make it smart. I just think they're trying to show off again. Hey, we know some things, and hey, your audience doesn't. So a lot of these things aren't landing.
Well, and it felt like with Star Trek: The Undiscovered Country. In there, what's his name? He was in the main villain Klingon. Recently passed.
Was that Christopher Plummer?
Christopher Plummer, yes.
Yeah.
So Christopher Plummer, in that, his character, his Klingon character, constantly quotes Shakespeare.
Right.
And when I was younger and I watched, I'm like, oh, this is pretty cool. But now that I'm watching again, I'm like, this feels very shoehorned in. Like he's saying these random lines that everybody knows about Shakespeare just to make him look like he's cultured in other species called high culture.
Yes, Christopher Plummer. I mean, I'm positive Christopher Plummer just said, I'll do this movie if you let me quote Shakespeare a whole bunch because it's fun. And I'm certain they said, hell yeah, sign that man up. He needs a pool.
But it kind of felt like that here, where tell God your plans, and then the Hobson choice, those kind of felt like they were a little over the audience's head, but also trying to show that they're smart, but not actually doing a good job at contextualizing that.
But the Shakespeare lines are better known for the most part.
Exactly, yeah.
except for kids, obviously. And then it also sets up, if I remember right, it sets up the line that Shakespeare is better in the original Klingon, which is a goddamn hilarious line. I mean, it's one of my favorites. I mean, it's probably my favorite Star Trek line when it comes right down to it. It's just funny.
I have a lot of bad memories about the head, shoulders, knees, and toes song. Again.
That was not your former employer, your former rat employer.
Yes. So what we would have to do was we'd have to go out with the mascots. We'd have to go out onto the floor and do this song for the kids. Every 15 minutes, half an hour, 45 minutes, something like that. Every hour, maybe, I think. I forget. It's been a while. But so we had to do that constantly. And there were times when that was the least amount of work you had to do as the mascot in the costume, as opposed to other ones where you had to kind of jump up or turn around or whatever. So that's what they would constantly pick because it was the easiest one to do. Right. So it's just when that came on, I'm like, oh my God, no.
Yeah. Now that's a possible sign that they actually did work at Charles, though, or at least they've been stuck in cheese enough to know that.
We're gonna beep these out. I want to beep these out. It would be more funny if we beep these out.
Fine. Is that what you want? Is that how you want to edit it?
Yeah. Let's beep those out and just make
okay. Clink, were you ever alone at your former place of employment at night with the animatronics?
Not alone. Me and a couple of guys would clean the games or the tubes or take out the tokens, stuff like that. We'd do it all night. It wasn't scary at all.
In the break room.
No. It wasn't scary at all because I mean those things were kind of creepy, but for the most part they actually had curtains. So the curtains would close and you wouldn't see them. Other times later on they had it to where they would move every once in a while, so they got rid of the curtains. And that kind of in between songs, so that kind of became a little meh, but it wasn't too bad. Oh, and also there are no security guards at nights at a place like that. So 5 Minutes of Freddy's is stupid because why would you waste a company that would not waste money?
We have to bleep the whole fucking episode if you keep this.
5 Nights at Freddy's.
Bleep.
We're bleeping that.
We don't need to bleep that.
We're bleeping it.
It's a perfectly cromulent. It's a perfectly cromulent video game, but yeah, that you're right. It does not line up. And the video game about murderous animatronics that come to life and go around and murder people is unrealistic. Thanks.
Did you? So I was reading the IMDb. Did you know that Nick Cage really kind of guarded this script and wanted to have this script kind of stay true to how it was?
I did no extra work around digging into anything about this movie.
I think I saw that when I glanced at IMDb, and I can't say I'm surprised because it shows his usual discernment about what works in a movie, which means he has no discernment about what works in a movie.
And there's towards the end, he's, I guess, kind of actually getting some feeling from the caffeine, and he's playing the pinball games, and he starts dancing with his hands and kind of turning around. Yeah. That was all improvised, apparently. I read that on IMDb too.
Yeah.
So that was his idea of, this is going to be a good idea. Let's do this.
We're talking about it.
And actor prepares anyway. All right, so I'm just going to come out and say it. You guys won't get this because you probably haven't seen the movie, but since both of you avoid horror movies, but you cannot use Freebird in a movie after The Devil's Rejects. Sorry. You fail. Freebird is a hackneyed choice to begin with. Devil's Rejects actually makes it work because it's paired with a major scene near the end of the movie. It's actually pretty nice. It actually works and it takes its time. Freebird's used here. It sucks. It's the equivalent of using House of the Rising Sun near the beginning of Suicide Squad, or using Sympathy for the Devil when we see Amanda Waller for the first time and all that crap. I mean, my major complaint about Suicide Squad, other than it kind of sucked, was just the music was dumb choices. I mean, just so on the nose and so obvious. It's like, at least try. Come on. And using Freebird here. Oh, look, he's free. No, that's dumb. Just don't.
It's dumb.
Devil's Rejects.
Freebird owned by the Devil's Rejects now.
Was that Rob Zombie movie?
Yeah, it's the sequel to House of a Thousand Corpses.
I think I saw House of a Thousand Corpses, but not Devil's Rejects then.
Yeah.
That was a mess. I saw it in the middle of the day. That was a messed up movie. And I watched it in the middle of the day.
If we do horror movies / cult movies at any particular point, that's going to be one of my picks, I think.
So this has been a big favorite. So Nick Cage Quandaries. Nick Cage Quandaries. I thought I'd make a theme song for it. This section,
fun.
this little bits.
It's fun.
Like it. I just came up with that on the top of my head.
We'll edit this part out.
If you make a promise,
Don't make me do math. Please don't make me do math.
if you make a promise,
And
and it turns out the person that made you make that promise is not truthful themselves, is that still a promise worth keeping?
If you're lawful good or lawful neutral under the D&D alignment scale, yes, you will keep that promise, because your word is your word, regardless of whether you are coerced into giving it or not. Now, if you are chaotically aligned, your word means nothing, and you're just going to go ahead and do either what you want or what is right anyway. So I guess we could argue that, I don't know, the janitor is probably either lawful good or lawful neutral here. He is bound by his word, which also goes along with the whole I'm a American badass man kind of thing, too. Man of his word and so forth.
It seemed like he was lawful good just because the animatronics would come out and kill him one at a time, but then Liv went to go try and kill them as they were on the stage, and he stopped them. He stopped her from...
Yeah, he had to do it in the right way.
Yeah, which either he knew that or he wanted to be fair.
Which fits the ritualized part of all of this,
Yeah.
weirdly enough. But
it's
So he's
almost like he wanted to be there.
yeah,
Like he was sent there or purposefully went there.
right.
Except when the chameleon lady was fighting Liv, and then all of a sudden his timer went off because he had to take his mandated union break.
Yeah.
And he looks at this timer, he looks at his watch, he looks at her, he's like, all right. And then he just gives her the switchblade and just walks off. Like, wait, what?
You know,
That's
I would have respected this movie a little bit more if who he was really scared of was pissing off the union. He had to take his breaks, or else the union steward would yell at him.
Yeah. Vanderpool.
Yeah.
Do you have anything else? Any?
I really think
Yeah.
so. No. I mean, biggest thing is Nick Cage. He's awesome.
Oh,
That's all I got.
the question. We didn't ask the question. Was he good in this?
I mean, he is fine, and I think he plays a silent role pretty good, actually. And I think he does exactly what he was hired to do. There's none of that Nick Cage wasted energy kind of thing that he does in that he does in every other thing we've seen, where he's just so extra that again, here he's doing exactly what they hired him to do. He's controlled. He lets that out just a little bit with the dance, but the dance, I'm pretty sure anyone else playing this strong silent character would suddenly start dancing at one point just to be absurd. And again, to highlight like the weirdness of the whole situation.
Vanderpool, was Nick Cage good in this?
He executes it.
I think Nick Cage was excellent in this. And because I believe Nick Cage to be a man of his word, and he himself said he put all of his stuff into this because he made this because he needed the money. He's admitted, I think that's admitted, but he still said, even though I was doing it for the money, I still gave it my all, and I believe him.
I thought you said you didn't do any extra research on this. Gotcha. Alan, what did you
Yeah.
learn?
So I learned if you got time to lean, you got time to clean.
There was the answer to that, which is if you got time to rhyme, you got time to shut the hell up. Animal, what did you learn?
I learned another quote because Alan just gave us a quote, right? Did we have a trifecta on quotes, maybe, Clink? I learned that kissing that ass ain't gonna get you that ass. That's what I learned.
It's true. That is true.
And to be fair, not only was Chris a simp for Liv, but he dies because he becomes a simp to animatronics. It is very clearly setting
He
up
was
the idea
trusting.
that he's an internet
When he shouldn't have.
that the movie is lazy on that.
He'd had sex with that thing 100%.
Oh yeah, I have no doubt. So that good old Siren Sarah there would need a thorough cleaning.
Wow.
So, Clink, what did you learn? Is it a quote?
No.
That'd be cool. We should edit it so it is, and we could be.
So my quote would be, okay. But no, so
Even better.
So at first I thought that Nicolas Cage was a Gen Xer because he's kind of older. So I have lesson: Gen Xers are sociopaths. But then got to think about it. He's just an American guy. So my lesson is American guys, sociopaths. The end.
Fucking communist. Is communism the red herring?
Communism is always a red herring.
Going back to Scooby-Doo, there was a pup named Scooby-Doo cartoon that I grew up with, and they actually had a character named Red Herring.
Yep.
And Freddy always pointed to Red Herring and goes, "It was Red Herring!" No!
Yep, I started using that example with students, talking about the red herring logical fallacy.
Nice. I thought it was just the name of a guy, and then later on I found out it was, something else.
What's up?
So
Alan?
what's next?
I think, Alan, I'm going to pick, if you don't mind.
Fine by me.
Because I'm going to pick the movie that you're going to pick. Me?
Yeah, because Alan did Wicker Man.
Okay, cool.
Yeah,
But never mind, Alan. I'll just take my pick.
There you go.
I think I want to do Mandy.
Nice.
But I hope I didn't steal your
When was
thunder,
that
Alan.
No, that's fine.
I don't know anything about it. About it.
Mandy is a very interesting movie. It's another Nick Cage joint. And it is, I would describe it as more as an actual horror movie. I don't remember it having very much funny in it. It's fairly grim as I recall. Sort of a murder revenge thing.
This better
Oh,
be good.
horror? I think it's better than this. I'll put that on.
Oh yeah. I remember it being. I remember it being very interesting.
Whoa.
Oh, you've seen it, Alan?
Oh yeah. I just don't remember very much of it.
Gotcha.
I think I had over imbibed that day, and I fell asleep for a chunk of it. So
Let's back up here. This movie, Willys Wonderland, was a great film. I don't know what your problem is, Vanderpool, but this is a good film.
The only way this could be a great film is if it was an intentional analysis and deconstruction of the models, and I don't think it really is. So,
Sounds like a student film then.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, as an American, I don't like to think in my movies. I want to have action. I want to have Nicolas Cage, and I want to have killer animatronic party animals.
All right, this is probably going to get cut, but this is legitimately the horror movies usually punish the audience for feeling things as part of the movie, correct?
What?
Like, Alan, can you help me say what I was saying?
it's not in all cases, but some horror movies definitely do have an element of you like this, you sick bastard, kind of judgment that's thrown along with it. The movie we've seen that does this a lot, but I think to actually decent effect, despite the clumsiness of the director, would be Natural Born Killers, where the entire thing is supposed to be a massive indictment of American violence culture, and it ends up being magnificently violent, to a extent that far outshines Oliver Stone's actual talent. I mean, he really looked into it was sort of like he was directing on autopilot, and the spirits took over and gave him something. Horror movies are sometimes like that. They'll judge you at the same time that you're enjoying watching people get murdered. And a lot of horror movies will actually create particularly unlikable characters, so you will root for them to get killed, and then we'll turn around and judge you for it.
Like the racist funny guy in the Kant movie, Friday the 13th, because he could have been cool, but he was not.
Yep.
That day. But I always root for the killers just because the people, the victims, are so stupid. Not a...
Right.
But I don't feel bad when they die because they're so stupid.
Punish you for that feeling that they went out of their way to create. They set a trap for you, you walk into it, and then they judge you for feeling bad. Or judge you for going along with that until you should feel bad.
Kind of like the Murder in Psycho. Spoiler.
I think you're safe spoiling the Murder in Psycho. But yeah, actually, because I think Hitchcock is playing with the idea of... I mean, he's obviously playing with the idea of voyeurism. I mean, it's a voyeuristic scene.
It's a voyeuristic fucking media.
Yeah. But again, he's doing that. He's doing the voyeurism in the scene, and it's a voyeuristically shot scene. And then Janet gets killed, and it's like, that's supposed to mess all that up for you. Although Hitchcock himself probably realized that everybody's really pretty sadistic about this anyway, because, well, I think if you mention a sadist who's a film director, Hitchcock's going to be one of the first guys who comes up. Man. I mean, it was certainly his intention to create that association.
Sounds like a great guy.
Oh, yeah, he's real fun.
Yeah. Traumatizing.
My knowledge, he never crippled anybody working for him.
So, Clink. You have to hang out with one for an hour. Picasso or Hitchcock?
Hitchcock. Wait. So I'm me, right?
Yes, as far as I know.
I'm not a woman, so either one.
Or an animatronic. Oh, okay. There you go.
Yeah. I'm afraid you're pretty safe with both, actually, unless you and a woman.
And other than exploring that question, let's wrap it up. That's probably a good time to wrap this up. It was 20 minutes ago, but from me, Mike Vanderpool, Michael Klink, and Dr. Alan Barris, that was because we watched.
Whoosh.
Well, because you watched Starcrash.
Whoosh.
Whoosh it real good.
Okay, kids, clap your hands like there's no tomorrow.
Bye, folks.
Bye, folks.